Welcome to today's video. We will unpack one of the strictest rules in U.S. nationality law. How and when a child born abroad out of wedlock can acquire U.S. citizenship through a U.S. citizen father. To set expectations, we will move step by step through the legal criteria in the Immigration and Nationality Act, primarily sections 301 and 309. Then, we will focus on the hardest barrier of all: the requirement that paternity be acknowledged, legitimated, or established by court order before the child's 18th birthday. As we progress, I will provide practical tips, timelines, and examples to clarify what counts and what does not. Let's begin with our agenda. Here is the roadmap for our session. First, we will identify who this law affects. Next, we will cover the core statutory requirements. After that, we will examine the PRE-18 paternity acknowledgment barrier. Then, we will outline physical presence rules for the U.S. citizen father. Following that, we will discuss how to document a case. Subsequently, we will explain the legislative intent behind the strict deadline. We will then highlight common pitfalls and provide practical tips. Finally, we will wrap up with key takeaways and a short quiz. This topic applies when a child is born outside the United States to a U.S. citizen father and a non-citizen mother, and the parents are not married at the time of birth. In these situations, the Immigration and Nationality Act imposes specific and strict rules for transmitting citizenship. We will use plain language to make these rules understandable, and then we will address the key deadline that determines whether citizenship can legally pass from the father to the child. Let's break down INA 309's core requirements. First, there must be biological proof that the child is genetically related to the U.S. citizen father. This typically involves clear and convincing evidence, most commonly an accredited DNA test result. Second, the father must have been a U.S. citizen when the child was born. Third, the father must agree in writing to provide financial support until the child reaches age 18. Fourth, the father must satisfy physical presence requirements in the United States prior to the child's birth. For many cases where the child was born on or after November 14, 1986, the rule is 5 years total physical presence, including 2 years after the father turned 14. Finally, and most critically, before the child turns 18, paternity must be established either by legitimation under the relevant law of domicile or residence, by a written acknowledgment under oath, or by an order from a competent court. Importantly, the law is unforgiving. If any one of these elements is missing, the claim fails, even if all other elements are satisfied. This flowchart visualizes the legal decision path. We begin with a child born abroad out of wedlock. The first decision is whether clear and convincing biological proof of the father-child relationship exists. If not, the process ends with ineligibility. If yes, we proceed to verify whether the father was a U.S. citizen at the time of the child's birth. If not, the claim fails. If yes, we check whether the father met the statutory physical presence requirement in the United States prior to the child's birth. If that condition is not met, the claim fails. If it is met, we verify the father's written commitment to support the child until age 18. Failure here also ends the claim. Finally, we reach the critical gate: whether paternity was legitimated, acknowledged under oath, or established by court order before the child's 18th birthday. If that happened on time, the path leads to successful transmission of citizenship. If it happened after the 18th birthday, the claim ends in ineligibility. Now we turn to the strictest rule. Paternity must be established before the child turns 18. The statute allows 3 ways to meet this: legitimation under the relevant law, a written acknowledgment under oath by the father, or a court order establishing paternity. Critically, there are no exceptions to this pre-18 requirement. Even if a father genuinely did not know of the child's existence until after the child became an adult, the statute does not allow a waiver. Missing the deadline by even 1 day makes the claim impossible under INA 309. This comparison highlights the importance of timing. Actions taken before the 18th birthday, such as legitimation under applicable law, a sworn written acknowledgement by the father, or a court order establishing paternity, can satisfy the statute and preserve a pathway to citizenship transmission. In contrast, any of these actions occurring after the 18th birthday are too late. The statute offers no waiver or exception, and biological evidence alone cannot overcome the missed timing requirement. Therefore, planning and early action are essential. This table provides a simplified overview of physical presence rules for the U.S. citizen father. If the child was born before November 14, 1986, the typical requirement was 10 years of physical presence, including 5 years after the father reached age 14. For births on or after November 14, 1986, the general rule is 5 years of physical presence, including 2 years after age 14. These rules can involve nuances and exceptions, so it is important to verify the exact requirement based on the child's birth date and any statutory amendments or interpretive guidance. Here are practical steps to assemble a compliant case. First, obtain accredited DNA testing to provide clear and convincing proof of a biological relationship. Second, document that the father was a U.S. citizen at the time of the child's birth, such as through a U.S. birth certificate, passport, or consular report of birth abroad. Third, compile proof of the father's U.S. physical presence, including records like school transcripts, employment records, tax filings, or military service documents. Fourth, secure a written agreement by the father to support the child until age 18. Fifth, confirm that paternity was established before the child's 18th birthday, either by legitimation under applicable law, a sworn written acknowledgment, or a court order. Sixth, research the relevant jurisdiction's legitimation standards to ensure compliance. Seventh, build a detailed timeline to cross-check dates against the statutory deadline. Finally, consult experienced nationality counsel to analyze any gaps and explore potential alternatives where appropriate. Quiz time. Which event must occur before the child's 18th birthday for citizenship to be transmitted under INA 309? Option A, DNA test proving paternity. Option B, the father's sworn acknowledgment of paternity, or legitimation, or a court order establishing paternity. Option C, the father files taxes in the United States. Option D, the child applies for a United States passport. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Under INA 309, legal establishment of paternity must occur before the 18th birthday through legitimation, a sworn acknowledgment by the father, or a court order. Without that pre-18 event, the claim fails, even if all other elements are present. This timeline illustrates milestone sequencing. First, the child is born abroad. Next, DNA proof may be obtained to demonstrate the biological relationship. Then, a written support agreement should be documented. Crucially, before the 18th birthday, paternity must be established by legitimation, a sworn acknowledgment, or a court order. The 18th birthday is a hard deadline. Any paternity establishment occurring after that date does not meet INA 309's requirement. Let's consider the statutory purpose. The original intent was to protect minors by linking the conferral of citizenship to the father's legal responsibility and support during the child's minority. Lawmakers sought to avoid a wave of claims by adults who first learn of a parental tie many years later, which could undermine the statute's protective design. Therefore, the pre-18 requirement serves as a bright-line rule that ensures citizenship transmission aligns with established legal responsibility, while the child is still a minor. Here's a second quick check. For children born on or after November 14, 1986, what is the general physical presence requirement for the U.S. citizen father? Option A, 1 year total at any time. Option B, 5 years total, including 2 after age 14. Option C, 10 years total, including 5 after age 14. Option D, no physical presence required. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. For children born on or after November 14, 1986, the general rule is 5 years total physical presence in the United States, including 2 years after the father turned 14. As always, confirm specific statutory details for the relevant time period. Here are the key takeaways. First, every element under INA 309 must be satisfied. Omission of any single requirement defeats the claim. Second, the pre-18 paternity establishment requirement is absolute and admits no exceptions. Third, biological proof is necessary but not sufficient. Timely legal acknowledgment is essential. Fourth, physical presence must be documented precisely, with careful attention to dates and totals. Finally, constructing a clear timeline and seeking experienced nationality counsel can be decisive in complex cases. Please note this legal disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Immigration and nationality rules can be nuanced and may vary based on precise dates, statutory amendments, jurisdictional interpretations, and individual facts. Examples provided are illustrative and may not match your circumstances. Do not rely solely on this content to make legal decisions. Consult qualified counsel for advice specific to your situation. In summary, begin by confirming that INA 309 applies to your situation. Next, verify every required element: biological relationship, the father's U.S. citizenship at birth, a written support commitment until age 18, and the father's qualifying physical presence. Above all, meet the strict pre-18 paternity establishment deadline through legitimation, a sworn acknowledgment, or a court order. Organize a robust evidence package and a precise timeline, and obtain expert legal review. Acting early is crucial to avoid irreversible timing failures. Thank you for watching. If you found this valuable, please like the video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe for more content on complex nationality topics. Finally, share your thoughts, questions, or experiences in the comments so others can learn from them as well.